Hey, what's going on, everybody? Isaac here, Civil Engineering Academy. Excited to be with you on another podcast episode. I bring on a repeat guest today, Ghanim Kashwani, who is a fantastic engineer. He's got a PhD, he's got a CEng, he's a fellow of ICE, which is an Institute of Civil Engineering, one of the oldest institutions. And we just talk about all things civil engineering and how great of an industry this is to be a part of. So if you have ever been inspired or wanted to become a civil engineer, we go over wonderful things here and really inspirational stories and just a nice chat to become a civil engineer. So whether you're debating becoming a civil engineer or whether you're in school slugging it out, or maybe you're taking your exams and you're just struggling with that, I think that you'll be inspired by this conversation that we have about being a civil engineer, the history that's behind it, and really some of the neat things that are coming up in the industry. So I really hope you enjoy this episode. I really had a fantastic time, and definitely reach out to Ghanim if you would like to on his LinkedIn profile, which we'll link in the show notes. But if you need help with any of your exam material, whether it's FE or PE stuff, definitely check us out at civilengineeringacademy.com. We have some awesome resources there for you as well, and it's good stuff. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to this episode. You're really going to enjoy this, and my conversation with Ghanim Kashwani is coming up right after this. All right, today I bring a wonderful guest back onto the show. Ghanim, how's it going? Welcome back to the Civil Engineering Academy podcast.
Thanks out, Isaac. It is an honor as usual to be in your platform. And Civil Engineering Academy, it presents all the hub for all the civil engineering in the world. So thanks again for hosting me.
Yeah, we really enjoy it. So I know last time we had you on with your cohort, and today we're just bringing you back on to talk about some things. So I just wanted to, I guess, get more experiences about your own life and how you got into civil engineering yourself, but also talk about maybe some things that you deal with on the daily. So as we begin this, why don't you talk about your own journey to become the first Emirati qualified as a chartered civil engineer by the Institute of Civil Engineers. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so my story with civil engineers, I finished my bachelor degree in 2010. So in 2006, when I finished my high school, I decided to do engineering, but I didn't know what kind of engineering. And when I heard the word civil and they said this is all about giving back to the society, and I said, you know what, I like this. Let's do it. And once I entered the civil engineering, I said, oh, we have transportation, we have structure, geotechnical, material, project management, and I got in love with the material. So I decided to do my master and all the way my PhD in Heriot-Watt in UK. And I get the best advice that why I'll do my PhD, that Ghanim, you need to balance between the academic and the professional certificate. So then I started reading about the PE, PN, CEng, and I thought that, ICE, chartered engineer, and I discovered that we don't have any chartered civil engineer, an Emirati. I said, you know what, let's do it. So it took for me around 2 years, 3 years, because I registered as a graduate member. So while I was doing my PhD, I have my PhD supervisor and I have my chartered supervisor. And, I get a great help. And in 2017, I became the first chartered civil engineer, passing the exams. And it was a good feeling. And, recently last month, I became a fellow and
Wow.
ICE. And they said, because it is all about giving back to the society. And guess what? Having interaction with podcasts like Civil Engineering Academy and others, it was playing a major role. Although they said, we are 35 years right now, but your engagement with society, it means a lot. So, and somebody
great.
Yeah, and they mentioned in their own website in ICE that I'm the first Emirati, and it was, a good feeling, but in the same time, it's a responsibility, because I usually say, having titles is nice, but what you will do with the titles? So now we have more Emirati chartered civil engineer. We have the first female chartered civil engineer, and the culture toward professional engineering is growing. I have been elected as board member of UAE Society Engineers. So there is a change, it's gradually, but I'm sure that
Wow.
we are on the right track.
You got a lot going on.
Yeah.
So maybe for those that don't know that are listening to this, what is ICE and how does that certification, I guess, play a role in the country you're in, but how is it looked at, I guess, worldwide?
So, as I said, there is two kind of certification. As an academic, I usually, as I said, you have an academic route where you do your bachelor, a master, and PhD, and as engineer. But there is a
Yes.
professional certificate. I think people in North America, they are more familiar with the PE, professional engineer, or PEng in Canada. So the same
Yes.
thing in UK, we have something called chartered engineer. So chartered engineer, we have something called the engineering council. For each major, there is chartered bodies that they are certified to give this title. So the word
Mm-hmm.
chartered by itself, it means that you are a professional and you have been tested from different area, not only academic wise, commercial wise, ethics wise. And ICE, it is the oldest professional body, Institute of Civil Engineer. It have been there on 1818, more than 200 years.
Wow.
And guess what? All the ideas start from a coffee shop. Where people they come and they sit together and said, you know what, we need a professional engineers. The first president of ICA, his name Thomas Telford, and he's known as the Iron Man or Man of Iron. And there is a book about his bio, and because he's one of the first people to use steels in design of the bridge. And I highly advise many people to become a member with the ICE because there is history and the inspiring stories that you have it here. And really, as a civil engineer, you can see your roots. It is well known that civil engineers is the oldest engineers by majors. But documented wise, yes, civil engineer is the oldest profession body in the whole world, not only in engineering, even in any professional industry since the first industrial revolution. So this give us to feel proud as any civil engineer, any part of the world, and any different association.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for explaining that. Civil engineering is, as a great profession to be in. And if you know that background and that history, I think that's even more inspiring to go that route. So that's neat. You mentioned that you have a PhD as well. How has a PhD shaped your career? And I guess, why did you want to get a PhD in the first place?
So, Isaac, let me share a concept. I think it is a really important concept. It is called Ikigai. Are you familiar with the Ikigai concept?
Mm-mm.
So, Ikigai, it is a Japanese concept, and there's a book called,
Yes.
yeah. So, it's about four things. If it is intersect, it gives you the purpose of life. So, the thing that you are good in it, the thing you have passion in it, the world needs, and something you're passionate about it. And I know that scientific research and working on scientific research, it is my area and something that I really see myself. And scientific research in civil engineering was my call, so everything I do in my life, either it is in scientific research or civil engineering. So doing PhD, it was not about the title, it is about how can I get the research skills in civil engineering. Because civil engineering, it is a very dynamic, 10 years ago, nobody was talking about digital twin. Now everybody's talking about digital twin. 10 years ago, we never have any master degree called digital civil engineering. Now many universities offer a master degree called digital civil construction or digital civil engineering. So you need to have this research skills that it will help you. And this is why I decided to do a PhD, just to get the research skills. And at the same time, as I mentioned, I know that it's important to be, hands-on. And this is why I decided to do the chartered civil engineer. And so I did it both in the same time. And I was very lucky that I was surrounded by wonderful mentors, either my PhD professor or my chartered mentor.
That's great. So you've got experience, though, working both in industry and in the academia world. How do you see that those experiences complement each other?
Yeah, so this is exactly, there is the debate between industry and academia. It was there, it will be still there, but we need to close this gap. For example, I usually suggest many university to use the title of professor of practice. I'm not aware if you hear this professor of practice or clinical professors. These are people from the industry that we invited them. We give them the title of professor, and they teach our students. It's extremely important. For example, although I'm chartered and I do have a PhD, believe me or not, when I go to this on the site, I'm listening to all the technicians. I'm learning from them because these guys have been in the site for 20, 30 years, and they have a knowledge that you cannot read in the book. And these information you need to get. Yes, you know all the advanced equation, you know all the theory behind it, but you need the people who have hands-on. And to do that, now we have different methods for civil engineering curriculum. We have apprenticeship. I do like it, the apprenticeship, especially for civil engineering, because you see things in your eyes. And I highly advise people to do that. And either, while you are doing your internship, while you are even if you are doing a management role, like if you are a designer, go to the site, feel the atmosphere. It will make a big difference.
Yeah, I totally agree. Getting out on site can really open your eyes to how your projects come together. And these guys definitely have a lot more experience than probably you do when you're first starting out, especially. Yeah. And so you learn as much as you can about how that project works, how it's put together. I've seen those mistakes in my own life when I was designing something, and I'd go out in the field and the crew would tell me I made a big mistake on something. Yeah. You just don't realize that until you get out there and really see it on the ground. So yeah, I think if you're instituting that that's a really good thing to do to get people out there. So awesome. Well, it sounds like you're very busy with a lot of different things going on in your life. How do you manage these responsibilities that you have, both in the academic world that you're in and the kind of this administrative involvement that you have in these professional societies that you're part of? How do you balance all of that?
So, I need to give the credit where it's due. So definitely my family play a big role in it. My kids, my wife, they help me to do that. So they are the heroes behind the curtain. So I need to give them the credit for that. And as I said, it is not one man show. Believe it or not, there's many people who are working, and it is not only Ghanim, but I believe I'm super lucky that I always surrounded by people who help me to do that. And as I said, I just follow a passion. It is not, for me. It is not something I have to do. I just have fun with it. Every day when I wake up, I said, let's have fun. And there is a say for Nietzsche, and he was saying that there is nothing more thrilling than having something you feel that it is impossible to do it, or something challenging. And I do like that, and this doesn't give me the passion, having sometimes something more comfortable does not push me my my competitive edge on myself. So this is what I keep doing myself. What next just challenge myself. And I said I'm super lucky, surrounded by beautiful family and friends who supported to me. So maybe if I can summarize it by one word, I'm lucky.
Well, that works. Yes. Sometimes you got to have a good support, and if your family, your wife is on board to help you with that, then awesome. So you've got a lot of moving parts and pieces going on in your life. I was curious how you tackle all that. One of your roles, I think, is a senior manager of applied research at the Higher Colleges of Technology, HCT. What do you do in that role? Can you describe some of the things you're doing in that role?
So in general, let me talk about the applied research in general. That now there's a new trend in United Arab Emirates that to be a key player as in the knowledge economy, and it is very important that to produce the knowledge, and to do that we need to fill the gap between industry and academia. And to do that, we need people who have an academic background, and yet they have been involved in the industry. Because many times academic people, they have difficulty to communicate with the industry. Let's give an example. There is a movie called Tesla 2019 have been released. And you
Hmm.
can, if we compare Tesla and Edison, both of them are great scientists, but as scientists or engineering skills of Tesla, he was better than Edison. Yet the entrepreneurship of Edison and his relation in industry was much better, and this is why he ended up with a lot of patents. So the idea of applied research, it is not like an HCT, it is an own university. This is what we try to do, that we let our academic to be more engaged with the industry, and our industry, when they face any challenge, and instead of going to the consultant, no, come to the university, because simply university can produce more affordable solution, and they can provide, with that, they will give you the knowledge transfer. And this is what you need exactly. So I think this is why I was working in the fundamental research. Now I'm moving a little bit in the applied research. So in fundamental research, most of the academic focus, because they try to publish and they get more citation to get promoted to full professor. Yet in applied research, it is different. It is all about patent. It is about startups, share, and it is more commercial. So now, like, this is what I'm saying for an academic world. It is time to change our promotion system, that from assistant to full professor, we don't only focus on fundamental research and publication top journal like Science of Nature. We can change that, and we start calculate new KPI that involve startup, industrial solution, because we need to change this. We need to update it.
Wow. Well, there's kind of a lot to unpack there, but overall, that sounds like a very fascinating place to be as part of what you're involved with there. And I really like your analogy between what you're doing, commercializing something like Edison, who's really good at making something that you can go sell, versus Tesla, who's, I guess, doing a bunch of research. So that's a really good analogy there. Can you talk about, is there any key findings or fun research that you've done that you see coming out or coming into the future that you've been a part of?
So for civil engineering, I believe circular economy is the big thing here. My advice to all the startups who are in the civil engineering, because circular economy is coming, and it will start from the construction materials, especially the raw materials. But discovering new materials, I think it is a big thing here. Concrete steel, they have been the dominant material, and they will be, but yet we need new material, affordable, and quote unquote more resilient and sustainable material. So now we can see that people, they start using woods, and even high-rise building, people start, and it exists already in Canada, and also in Denver, I believe. And we need this kind of new material that it can save the planet and it can save the cost. So this is one of the things that we are, and it play a major role in circular economy, because the idea between the linear economy and circular economy, that we don't have any waste or byproduct in circular economy. It is about reusing things. So let me give you an example here in UAE. The two major issue of waste is food waste and construction waste. So one of the food waste that it's the dates, the palm tree that we have it. And palm tree, it consists of food and cellulose fibers. And one of the idea that how we can utilize this cellulose fibers, and we mix it with the concrete, and instead mix it with the scientific fiber like glass fiber and carbon fiber. And we tested in the lab, and it gives you a decent, good compressive strength and durability.
Wow.
And by this, you can solve, a major issue. And also recycle aggregate. It is one of the things that we can utilize it under the idea of circular economy. But Isaac, I think the main issue here is how to speak to the industry. There is an article, it was everybody to read it, by Harvard Business School. It said how to take sustainability to your CFO. Believe it or not many CFO, they are interested about the carbon footprint, emitted carbon, and they need to see numbers and figures. Okay. So when you sell your new idea, you tell him that we are saving this cost, we are making profit, we make our stakeholder more happy, and we get more society value. So you need to be a good salesman, and this is what I'm saying for civil engineers. Please take core on entrepreneurship. And other point is it is extremely important now to take AI courses. I mean, now the fundamental design is different. We have computational design. We need new program like Grasshopper, Rhino, all these new programs. Have a look in it because this is the future now for designers especially.
The AI kind of revolution, you're saying,
Yes.
get a handle on that and see where that's going to affect you in the civil engineering world.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Definitely a huge rise this year in AI program software. I mean, I can see that, with ChatGPT and everything else that's out there. People are just spinning off or creating all kinds of tools, and I can see how that will affect designers in the civil engineering world eventually. So definitely good advice there.
Yeah.
What other Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so sorry, Isaac, even for the project managers, last month, in February, there is another article also for Harvard schools. They said how AI will change the project management so that, instead using the old-fashioned Primavera and do the scheduling and budgeting, he will do it, the AI, in a seconds for you. And with experience, with iteration, he can more precise and accurate. But I want to remove the stereotype that people will lose their job. Not actually, no, because if we go back in the history, when we have the cat drawing, everybody was afraid that we are losing their jobs. But it appears they ask for more engineers. The same thing here, If you go now to Google, you find out they need digital civil engineer, they need drone engineer, but will add the variety. But you need to have the basic, the literacy. And this is why I'm saying that, guys, even if your curriculum is not teaching you basic programming, try to do it. There's many free courses and many different platforms you can do that. And take just a basic. And once you go to work, you can choose one and be focused on it.
That makes sense. Oh, I like that advice. Programming is a skill I think everyone should definitely look at, dive into. I quickly learned in college that programming maybe wasn't the best route for me, but it's still a vital skill, I think, to have. And I know even AI tools can assist you with programming as well. So good advice. As we're talking about, I guess, general advice, is there any other advice you would give to young professionals that, or maybe look to you to follow in your footsteps to succeed in civil engineering?
Yeah, as I said, the most important thing, you choose something that you enjoy it, and because this is the real passion in it. Because it will be, pinky and rosy road. You will have a difficult days. It will be some days that you ask yourself and you doubt yourself, and this is very normal. But the only and the only thing it will keep you is the why. If you figure your why, the how, it will be there all the time. So sometimes you will ask yourself why I'm doing this. Why I'm the side. People they are doing different major. People are entrepreneurs. But in the end, as I said, if you have this clear why I want to be a civil engineer, for me, it was clear that I want to give back to my society. There is no much feeling when you go to a building or to bridge and they said, I participate designing this,
Yep.
and believe it or not, all the bridge and the building has some stories, behind it. And these stories stay forever there. And this is why I'm a big fan to read the stories about all the civil engineers that have been impacted the world and have been inspired by many examples by these civil engineers.
Well, why don't you talk a little bit about the book called The Engineer's Wife, a little bit about that to help inspire engineers as well.
Yeah.
What's that book about?
So it is a novel. So there is a new literature called engineering literature that, engineers they have, especially civil engineers, they did a lot of achievement. But behind this achievement, there is struggle. It is like iceberg. You see the success, but there is a lot of, hard work. There is a lot of tears. There is a lot of sweat to reach there. And I think Brooklyn Bridge And this is my advice to all motion picture. If you can do a movie about that, it will be such a nice movie, you know. Emily Roebling. It's an interesting story about it considered the first female civil engineer that they decided to do the bridge in Brooklyn, and her father-in-law passed away due to the injury because the health and safety in that time was not in the perfect situation. Then her husband get injured also severely. And in that time, people they have this idea that engineering is not for women. Women they cannot do that. And he proves them wrong. She learned the math and she complete the design. And if you are if you're going between Manhattan and Brooklyn, you can find like a bridge in the end. They saying that they thanks Emily Roebling for her effort. So the story itself, it's really nice because it tells you the love story between these two, and it has this dynamic style that you keep reading. So you learn engineering and storytelling style. And this is you can tell it also for non-engineering, they can enjoy it. Such a story.
I think that's amazing. Yeah, definitely go check it out. It's called The Engineer's Wife. It's by who's it by? It's by Tracy Wood, and it sounds like a very inspiring story. I'm going to check it out, and they should definitely make a movie about it. I get the sense there's more and more of these stories that are coming out. I like your analogy that it's like an iceberg. You know, we see final products, but the struggle to get there is really where these stories kind of come into play. And I think most people know that engineering is not an easy thing. So there are struggles that people have had to get things built. So definitely an interesting story. The Engineer's Wife. So we'll make sure we link that in our show notes for people to check out.
Yeah, as I said, one of the definition of civil engineering, one of the oldest definition, it is an art. It is an art of using the natural resource to serve the mankind. I like this definition, because it is not only a science. Now we define it as a science, but it is an art to use the resources to benefit the human mankind to survive. And I like that definition. It makes all the sense.
Yeah, I really like that. I had the opportunity to give a presentation to 9th graders yesterday at a school my kids go to and talked about civil engineering as a whole. So it was fun to chat about that with future people that were interested in engineering itself, but to really try to sell civil engineering as a route to go and see some of their light, the eyes in their light or the light in their eyes kind of fire up was neat and inspiring to do. So hopefully this episode, for anybody that's been interested in civil engineering, maybe you already are in civil engineering and just need motivation to keep going, whether it's getting through school or getting through exams that you're struggling with. This is a very noble place to be, and I think you're really going to enjoy being here. So I appreciate getting all your thoughts around this. If our audience wants to connect with you, if they had questions or want to find out more about you, what's the best way they could connect with you?
Yeah, sure. So I'm very active through LinkedIn. Just drop me a text and I'll be on your service.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you jumping on. Is there any last pieces of advice, anything exciting happening over there at the UAE that you want to mention to us?
Well, there is a big event that UAE will be held called COP28, and I think it is a nice opportunity for all the civil engineers to put their mark on it. So please come visit us, and if you have any innovative idea, we're more than welcome, to present it to us.
That would be awesome. I would love to get out there myself. So
you are more than welcome, Isaac.
Got 4 kids. It's hard to travel. I'll just say that. Anyway, thank you for doing this, and hopefully we'll see you in another future episode.
Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks for hosting me.
All right. See ya.